Oh boy, looky here. What do we got? Looks like we got a little bit of a new tobacco, new brand of the channel. Looks like we're gonna have to do a review on this tobacco. What's going on, YouTube? Adrian here, finding something to drink before we can do this. We got here, it's yeah, the Hookah cartel drink. Yeah. Pretty good. Alright, YouTube, I hope you guys are all doing well. It's me from here, and today I have a new flavor and brand to the channel for you guys. And this is one that I'm pretty excited to bring to you because it's relatively new to the American market as well. It's going to be the Fakhamah something. It's going to be this, and the flavor is going to be the grapefruit iced tea, which I think this is going to be a pretty interesting flavor profile because I don't see a whole lot of iced tea flavors. So let's dive right into this review and try to keep it under like 10 minutes. They tend to get a little bit long on this channel, and I do apologize for that. But it seems like a lot of you are watching the whole way through, so you guys have just as much free time as I do apparently. Okay, so beginning with the actual packaging of this tobacco, what you're actually going to get when you pick this stuff up is going to be this really nice plastic container, and you guys know that I'm a fan of plastic containers over tin or aluminum or whatever they're going to make your container out of. As far as metal goes, because metal and moisture do not mix very well, and they will cause your shisha tobacco to rust your container, and that's obviously going to make you sick if you smoke rust. So that's pretty cool. And then you're also going to have this screw-off top that's going to keep your shisha nice and fresh for a good long time. Moving on to the cut and color of this tobacco, you're going to have a really nice medium sloppy chopped tobacco. Now it is a little bit inconsistent. I have noticed that from the 3 different flavors I have tried, they've all been cut a little bit differently. If you want some confirmation on that, go check out Matt Deasand over at Matt Deasand Hookah channel. I believe the channel is just called Matt Deasand. He's reviewed a couple flavors as well. But fortunately, even though the cut is a bit sloppy and inconsistent, they do not dye the tobacco. And in today's day and age, we don't really need to dye our tobaccos. There's no reason to make it red or green or purple or rainbow colored because we're going to cover it with foil inevitably anyway, so there's really no reason to gunk it up with all kinds of food safe dyes and stuff like that. Looking at the moisture content of this stuff, you're going to notice that it's just wet enough to smoke. It's not really going to be so wet that it's going to drip down into your bowl, so you can get away with using something like an Egyptian bowl, but in a second I'll show you what I'm using. I'm not going to be using an Egyptian bowl today. I'm actually using a new bowl, and there's going to be a review on this bowl coming soon, so there's a little bit of a teaser for you, but it's only going to take 20 seconds to get to that. So, and by 20 seconds I meant right now. So let's go ahead and get into the packing of this bowl. I'll try to keep it quick, and I'll overlay some B-roll in this general vicinity of the whole screen so you don't have to see me reading my show notes. Okay, so today we're going to be packing our Fakhamah Grapefruit Iced Tea into a funnel bowl, and today's funnel bowl of choice is going to be the Goodfella V4. Like I said, review on this bad boy coming soon, but I can tell you right now that I would highly recommend picking this little bowl up. Now to pack this bowl, it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to do what we call a normal pack. For any of you familiar with a normal pack, it's what you typically want to do is something like Al-Fakr. I might dense the stuff down just a little bit more than I would dense Al-Fakr, but that's just because the stuff can take just a little bit more heat. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our oyster fork and we're going to go ahead and mix up this tobacco. If you don't have an oyster fork, you can use your fingers and get them all sticky, but I don't like to do that. I've never washed my hands in my life, so I don't want to start now. But you're going to go ahead and mix your tobacco up, and once you get the glycerin and molasses all nice and evenly distributed throughout your tobacco, you can start to load your tobacco into your bowl using either your fingers or an oyster fork. It's just very important to make sure that the tobacco leaves are fairly broken up so you're going to get a good amount of airflow. And it's okay if it's a little more on the dense side, because we're going to go ahead and break it up a little bit with a foil poker or a toothpick in just a moment. So once you have all of the tobacco packed around the bowl evenly, all you got to do from this point is use your foil poker or toothpick and go ahead and evenly rearrange all the leaves to beneath the rim. And if they're still sticking up a little bit after that, just go ahead and take your thumb or finger and lightly pat them down, because you don't really want the leaves touching the foil when you go to foil the bowl. So now that we're at this point, we can go ahead and move on to the foiling process. And this is a simple process. You guys already know all about this stuff. We're just going to take one layer of heavy duty foil and we're going to put it down on our bowl, shiny side down. And we're going to go ahead and make sure it's drum tight around the bowl like so. And then we're just going to poke a little 3-ring hole pattern around our bowl. I like to start from the outside of the rim and move my way in. And I'm going to be poking a lot more holes than normal today because today I will be using a Provost. So if you're not going to use a Provost, you can get away with a few less holes. I just like to put a lot of holes in here when I'm using a Provost. That way I get good airflow, because if there's not a lot of holes, then the holes from the Provost won't actually line up with the holes in your bowl, and you will sometimes have some restriction to your draw when you run into this scenario. All right, now that you've seen all that good stuff, let's take a look at our setup. Today, we're going to be using, like I said, the Goodfella V4 bowl with a little Provost up on top. And we're going to go ahead and use our Thunder Slim hose to smoke it out of. And we're going to go ahead and put all of those onto our Aviator hookah at half mast, so only utilizing one of these beautiful stem pieces. And then as far as heat goes, we're going to go 2 titanium cubes inside of the Provost. And I do have the lid on all the way. I started it with the lid kind of crooked up to the side. Oh, and how can I forget the B2 mouth tip, probably the most important part of today's setup. Okay, let's, first things first, what does it smell like? What is this grapefruit iced tea gonna smell like? Is it gonna smell like peaches? Is it gonna smell like lasagna? Probably not. It's probably gonna smell like grapefruit and iced tea, but let's take a look. Okay, if any of you are familiar with El Fakher's grapefruit flavor, you're going to know that it's kind of a bitter grapefruit. It's pretty sweet on the aftertaste, but the initial draw is going to be very, very bitter, and you definitely smell it when you open the El Fakher too. This is going to be no different from that in terms of the actual scent of the tobacco. When you open this up and smell it, you're definitely going to get this really nice bitter citrus, kind of a grapefruit scent, and that's going to be the first thing you smell. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you start to pick up on is that lasagna? No, that's iced tea. You pick up on these really interesting iced tea notes, which I was pretty pleased to actually find in the scent of the tobacco, because I was really afraid the iced tea was going to be a gimmick, you know, to just sell this flavor as something more than another grapefruit flavor. So points to AF2, not El Fakher, Fakhamah, for actually differentiating itself in the grapefruit market. It actually smells like grapefruit iced tea, and I've never had a grapefruit iced tea, so that's interesting. So moving on to the next thing after the smell, let's go ahead and take a look at the clouds this stuff produces. Clouds need no introduction, so let's blow some clouds. If you look at that, this tobacco actually produces clouds. It's going to produce clouds that are actually quite a bit bigger than what I've been comparing it to this whole time, which is El Fakher, because it's going to be a Middle Eastern style tobacco. It's going to be a very light tobacco, like I was saying before. I don't know if I mentioned this, I thought it was pretty obvious, but this is going to be a blonde leaf tobacco. So in terms of the clouds, you're going to get pretty much whatever heat you pack onto it. And since this stuff can take a decent amount of heat, it blows a good amount of clouds. Before I get into the taste of this tobacco, I'm just going to go ahead and breeze over this part really quickly. It's a blonde tobacco. It's very, very washed. You're not going to get any type of a head buzz from this unless you aren't eating. So if you want to get a good buzz, just don't eat for a few days and then smoke and you're good to go. The buzz is 10 out of 10. Probably don't do that though. Moving on to the most important thing when critically analyzing any shisha tobacco, let's move on into the taste of the tobacco, using the inhale and the exhale as reference, as the flavor profiles do tend to differ just a little bit between the inhale and the exhale. So inhale first. Lasagna. Nope, still kidding. It actually tastes exactly like it smells. You're going to get this really nice bitter grapefruit on the front of the flavor, and as you kind of pay attention to the flavor as you're inhaling it, you will start to pick up on these really nice, cool iced tea notes. Obviously, this isn't a coolness that you would get from something like a mint. There's no mint in this at all. Normally, grapefruit flavors tend to be a little bit bitter, and this does fit the bill. It is a very pleasant, bitter grapefruit flavor. But because of the iced tea, you're also getting this really nice, kind of smooth, almost cooling, but not really, effect to the flavor. So the flavor's pretty good on the inhale, but does it taste the same going out as it does coming in? Let's find out. Okay, nothing really huge to say on the exhale other than the levels between the grapefruit and the iced tea kind of do one of these, and you get a little more iced tea on the exhale than you do grapefruit. That's pretty much it. The flavor profile gets a little bit weaker, but that's going to be the case for every shisha tobacco that I smoke so far. So that's what you have to look forward to in terms of the taste of this flavor. Now, something that I haven't been talking as much about in my reviews that I've been meaning to, and I've got a little note here telling me to because I almost forgot to again, but I want to talk about how this stuff does in a mix. Does it hold its own? Now, some flavors tend to have a flavor profile that's a little bit weak, so it doesn't really hold its own in a mix, and some flavors tend to be really overpowering, and even if you just do like 30% of that flavor and 70% something else, it can overpower the mix completely. This is right in the middle ground where you're going to get as much of this as you actually put into your mix. So for instance, I actually mixed this 50% with this same brand Mojito, review on that coming soon for anyone interested in that. And what I got was this really nice half grapefruit iced tea, half kind of a sweet and sour Mojito flavor. And it came across really well because you got sour notes and bitter notes from both flavors, as well as these really nice, cool, sweet notes. So it actually shows up pretty well in a mix. And obviously, if you want to put some mint in this flavor, you can't go wrong. Mint's pretty much good in everything, except for coffee flavors. Maybe, I don't know, I don't like mint and coffee, that's just me though. And then before I wrap this video up, I will say that as far as longevity goes, and this is the case not only for the Provo setup I'm using now, but when I just use straight like 3 titanium flats on top or whatever coconut coal you're using. In a bowl like this, 2 rounds of coal is no problem. This is pretty deep. I'll get into that soon because for those of you who know about the Goodfellow V3 bowl, it was a little bit more shallow. There's a reason that this is a little bit deeper. That's for another day. But a bowl like this where I'm packing somewhere around 18 to 20 grams of it at the pack that I have in this bowl, I can easily expect to get 2 rounds of coals, maybe a good hour, 45 minute, 2 hour session at best. All right, with all of that stuff in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and rate this tobacco for you on our 10 scale. And I'm gonna take into account everything that I talked about from longevity, mixability, heat resistance, flavor, scent, clouds, cut, all of that good stuff. I'm gonna rate this for you. And this rating that I'm giving it, I kind of don't like giving it this rating. And I'll get into it in just a second. I'm sure the anticipation is probably killing you. I'm gonna give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Now, I've pretty much had nothing but good things to say about this tobacco up to this point, so I'm sure you were maybe expecting something closer to like an 8 or an 8.5. The reason I'm only giving it a 7.5 is because of consistency issues. Like I said, from flavor to flavor, this brand's cut has been really sloppy and inconsistent, and the cut that I showed you here, unfortunately, it doesn't look that good as it is, and I actually passed it through scissors before I started to smoke the stuff because it was so leafy. Like there were almost entire full leaves of tobacco in there, which is kind of a turnoff for me, and I feel like it would be for you guys too. You don't want to do any extra work. After you buy your tobacco, you just want to open it up, mix it up, and pack it, and that's how I view it at least. The flavor, clouds, all of that stuff, the scent, the longevity, it's all par for the course as far as a blonde leaf goes, but it's really not anything insane. It's nothing we haven't already seen in the market, so I really can't justify giving it a score higher than that. That said, I would highly recommend you try it. The price point's not bad, and hey, where can you pick this stuff up? My recommendation, as always, would be to go over to 5-Star Hookah to pick this stuff up. Alex and Mary will take care of you guys real good. They've got pretty good shipping time, but beyond that, they have an amazing selection and very fair prices. And hey, maybe you guys don't want to pay full price for anything that's not already on sale there. I can help you out in that category too. Go ahead and use my coupon code. That's going to be PIPED15, PIPED15, like it says here. And when you put that into the promo code box at the end of your order, it'll give you 15% off anything not already on sale. If you feel that this video gave you any value whatsoever, I would highly suggest subscribing for more content just like this in the future. I do at least 2 uploads a week, so that's something to have to look forward to if you're into this type of content. And hey, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you thought this video was absolute trash and you never want to see me again, give it a thumbs down. I'm still going to do more videos, but I'd like to know that you hate me. Beyond that, if you have any comments, questions, or criticisms, drop it down into the comments box below. I'd be more than happy to interact with you guys. And hey, if you've got a request for anything you might like to see reviewed, go ahead and drop a request for that down in the comments below as well. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I just got a request to review this off-brand Lotus. It's this Lotus from Amazon. I think it's called the Bud or something. I'm going to go ahead and order that. Typically, I don't review products that I'm very skeptical about, but I'm going to go ahead and drop a review on this and kind of compare it to the Lotus. So, see, I do listen to you guys, for those of you who are actually interacting with my channel. So, thank you for that. That's just going to about wrap this video up. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, some smoky.